Hello everyone, Savvy here, and yes, X marked the spot. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna react to another video from Death Battle. One that I never suspected that we're gonna get a video about, considering these two particular characters are more in the support group, or at least to my knowledge anyways. This of course being another battle between Marvel and DC, between their two very similar characters, Ant-Man versus the Atom. Now about what I said before, that I never suspected that these guys were gonna get a video about them. What I mean is, based on the shows and movies that I watched so far where they're in, they're more of like Ant-Man and the Atom feel like to me are more of a support group if anything. I mean, they literally have the power to shrink. Now having the ability to shrink isn't so bad, isn't the worst powers you can get, but unless you can utilize it or find some way to use it properly, it doesn't bring much to the team. When it comes to battles, like for example, Thor versus Vegeta, you can already suspect what's going to happen. Like, universes are gonna likely be destroyed, mountains are gonna collapse, like, you know, that whole shebang. But with these characters, I don't know what to expect from them, but just like shrink down and just like fight as miniature men. I can already hear a bunch of comic book readers about to rant how wrong I am in the comments. And I apologize if I, like, don't understand how much potential they have, but like this is just based on the stuff I've seen them in from shows and movies, so I apologize if I'm not much of a comic fan. But we're about to see what these small guys can do, so let's get started already. This intro never gets
Marvel's
old.
Founding member of the Avengers.
The Atom, DC's legendary Mighty Might.
Good things come in small packages.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
We're just trying to get these out of the way.
Yeah, these lines are bound to be
And
in
it's
this.
our job to analyze their
point.
weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win.
You just have to say it
battle.
when it comes to these two characters.
Did you know that ants can lift 50 times their own body weight? That'd be like if you lifted a car straight over your head.
I did, thanks to my
missed
fun
the
fact
old
of the day
Hulk, I
calendar.
swear.
Also, Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada yesterday.
Well, I bet your calendar didn't tell you
There's
that
a reason
Dr.
pineapple
Henry
is on
Pym,
pizza.
aka Hank, was considered a genius at
Note
a
to self to put
very
them on,
early
Gotham
age.
Asylum,
By
because that's
3 years
crazy.
old, doctors declared that he was smarter than both his parents
What
combined.
the hell?
He
What did he
eventually
do to
majored
himself?
in
Is he an
biochemistry
alien
and
or
became
something?
one of the most successful scientists in his field.
Headmaster
he
of
had
the
big
Avengers
ideas
Academy.
about shrinking
Oh.
the size of cargo to
One of
reduce
the
shipping
top 5
costs.
smartest people alive.
Logistics.
All of which made him a laughingstock in the scientific community and sparked a long-lasting insecurity and need to prove himself.
But he did it! He developed a working serum!
Of course.
He went from
Like
laughing
in all
stock
comics.
to Christmas stocking! The much better stuck, right behind Bean and Live.
So, naturally, he tested the serum on himself, like any self-respecting
Bro,
scientist would,
I
and
swear,
shrank
these
down to
comic
the
scientists
size of
need
an
to,
ant.
And just when things
Test
started
things
going
first.
south, a sweet little
He
ant,
could-
let's call
he
her
could probably
Aunt Hathaway,
killed himself
swooped in
if
and led
not
Hank
too
safely
careful,
back
bro.
to his lab where he could return to full size.
Hank then harnessed the serum and became the superhero Ant-Man. Along
Okay,
with
I
his new
cannot
identity
take
came
that
a
helmet
fascination in
seriously. Thank
entomology,
God the
which
MCU
makes
changed
total
it.
sense. Ants are fascinating.
Did you know that ants can talk to each other in a bunch of different ways? Through touch, sound, or even sharing information by barfing at each other.
It's actually called trophaletics.
Ew.
They're not barfing, per se. It's more like passing food mouth to mouth.
No.
Gross!
No.
Hank figured out how to
I hope I
communicate
don't have
with
to talk
his
to
new
someone
pets.
like that.
Not by barfing, but by creating a cybernetic helmet that mirrors an
Okay,
ant's
that
antenna.
helmet.
And
That
he's
helmet,
even
bro.
developed genuine relationships with some ants, like Ulysses' ant here.
But he didn't stop there. Hank developed a lot of amazing tech,
Cybernetic
like a
helmet.
stinger
Oh,
pistol that
okay.
focuses his bioenergy
Neural
into a stun
inhibitor,
beam, and
laser
image-inducing camouflage to mask himself as an ant.
Oh,
It worked so
cool.
well it fooled Reed Richards, the smartest guy on the planet.
He also built a suit that runs on that nifty
I didn't
serum
know
he made
that. I
back
didn't
in his
know
lab.
that.
It lets him shrink thanks to the newly discovered Pym particles, named after himself. Ah, classic Hank.
He just
And the
loves
Pym
stroking his
particle
ego,
is the
doesn't he?
key to unlocking the fundamental constants of the quantum mechanics at
Oh,
play
here we go with the quantum
They enable
realm.
you to decrease the distance between atoms. However, in order to do that, he'd have to change the Bohr radius, the ratio of electron mass to the distance the electrons orbit an atom's nucleus.
Well, of course. Like how when you
Was he
make a
boxing
bagel
against
pizza,
Ultron?
you can't fit the whole pizza on the bagel. Believe me, I've tried. It's too small. You just gotta put less on.
Okay, that's
Boomstick.
one way
so
to say
the
it.
Pym particles are actually displacing mass to an alternate dimension in order to maintain that ratio.
Oh, it's like having a second bagel to put the rest of your pizza on. I get it.
But if that were true, he shouldn't be able to punch with full-size strength if he has less mass.
And he's definitely lighter, because otherwise he'd crush the sweet antsy rides like Vincent Van Gogh here.
His mass is being replaced with massive neutrinos,
that's what he
but
named
that doesn't
his
adequately
ants.
explain how he
That's
can
crazy.
have less mass and seemingly more mass at the same time.
Sure it does, Wiz. Trust Pim and his
way
particles.
it works
Look
is
at
how
guy.
the
He's
writer
explaining
says
the
it
whole
works.
thing while wearing a lab coat. What's more trustworthy than that?
It just depends on
You're the
convenience of
exception.
the
You
plot, I
think
guess.
you understand this?
Oh, of course.
Wait, what's he
He's
mean?
small but strong. You said something about a boss.
The helmet
I
he's
guess
wearing.
you wanted ham on that pizza, but I
Okay,
already
you
made
cannot
the
tell
pizza.
me that
Will you
ham
take
looks
that coat
hilarious
off?
on him.
No. Oh.
It looks straight up
Regardless,
ridiculous.
there is virtually no limit to Hank's ability to shrink. He can go beyond subatomic down to the underspace, a plane of existence below all realities in the Marvel Universe.
And
Oh,
Hank
okay.
has literally changed his biology. He's rewritten his own chemical makeup to prevent
It
anyone
actually
else from
generates a
changing his size.
field
And
of-
he's
oh,
used
okay.
Pym particles so
That's
much,
why I never
he's
get a
now
chance
got
to
an
read
energy
these
field around
things.
him that lets him change the size of people or objects on the fly.
What?
Through touch or by straight up firing Pym particles in the air.
What is
He's
it?
never shy about using them either.
When does
He eventually
MCU
supplied his wife,
Ant-Man get
Janet
that
Van Dyne,
power?
with some Pym tech to become the Wasp, his partner in crime fighting.
The
That's a
two
lot.
ended
She
up
looks
rubbing
bad.
shoulders with A-listers like Thor, Iron Man, and the Hulk to take down Loki. Ant-Man and the Wasp were actually the ones that captured him and pitched the idea
Damn.
of forming the Avengers.
This is super
Unfortunately,
retro.
Hank's insecurities started to creep back in, and he felt that
We've
if
come
he
a
wanted
long
to
way
keep up
from
with
comics.
the big heroes, he was going to have to think bigger.
Enter a bunch of
Quite
those
ironic given his
Pym-powered alter
superpowers.
egos like Yellow Jacket and Giant Man, where he can grow anywhere from 12 feet tall to so big he can enter the overspace, the polar opposite of the underspace.
There he met Eternity, who called him Earth's Scientist Supreme,
Damn.
something he won't let you forget.
Hank pushed
As if he-
himself to
as
these
if his
insane
ego
heights, even
wasn't
though
big
he
enough.
knew the strain on his body could be
That's
fatal.
crazy to
But he
think about.
simply
An
didn't
entity
care and kept
acknowledges
pushing
how
himself.
smart this guy is.
Thus, his greatest and worst creation was
Oh,
born.
here we go.
Ultron.
Yep, all
I
the
actually
Tin
heard
Man
about-
Tron was created by Hank, not Tony like the movies.
Yeah.
But the mass murder butt thing
Honestly,
turned
I
out
don't know
pretty
why,
much
but
the
I
same.
feel like it would make
Big
sense for
swing and a miss
Iron
there.
Man to build
The fallout
Ultron.
from Ultron left Hank in a bad place, to say the least. His guilt made him feel like an utter failure, and that his
Makes
best work
sense. I
was
mean, he
behind
literally
him.
made
This
a
led Hank to
Terminator.
do unspeakable things.
A real
Ooh.
low-life move. And even though poor
Slapped
mental
the
health
mess out
doesn't
of
excuse
Wasp.
this behavior, it was clear that Hank needed help. He suffered
definitely.
multiple
Look
mental
at-
breakdowns,
look at that
endured the
image.
physical toll of the Pym particles, and had bipolar disorder that went undiagnosed for years.
So Hank finally
Damn.
did the best thing he could. He acknowledged his problems, got the help he needed, and committed to self-improvement.
And with that help, Hank slowly
He talked to
started making
people.
things right. He rebuilt the West Coast Avengers,
That's all he
gave
needed
Scott
to
Lang
do,
his
just
blessing
open
to
up, man.
become the second Ant-Man, and finally defeated Ultron.
He created a backdoor Trojan infiltration code to defeat Ultron that was so advanced, it went on to replicate and evolve all on its own to create a new species made up of artificial intelligence.
They don't call him the god of modern AI for nothing.
That's
Hank
one
has
thing for
showed
sure.
over and over again that he's an integral part of the Marvel Universe.
Not just by ways of his scientific contributions or victories in battle, but by proving that heroes come in all shapes and sizes.
Alright, let's go
Ray
to
Palmer
the Atom.
was born your average human-sized person.
That's what
he
they
grew
all
up
say.
in the Northeast, studied physics at Ivy University, and did everything Mama and Papa Palmer told him to do.
Honestly, I miss
Everything
Ray
was
Palmer
pretty
in the
typical for Ray
CW.
until one fateful night when he took a walk to take his mind off a frustrating experiment and saw a meteor fall from the sky.
He ran off to the crash and found himself
how
a
many things
life-changing
crash
piece of
onto
a white
Earth? I
dwarf
swear,
star,
bro.
and immediately started messing around with it. Who wouldn't?
He discovered that he could focus ultraviolet rays through it and shrink inanimate objects. There was
Nice.
just one problem. When he shrunk things, they exploded. Every time.
I
Damn.
do not see the problem. Sounds like he found a foolproof way of blowing stuff up. Case closed.
Ray was determined to figure out how to shrink objects without blowing them up. But first,
Okay.
he went on a hike with his nature club. And as a fellow scientist,
Man,
I
look
have
how
to
old
question
these
his
comics
priorities.
look.
But hey, it seems to work for him. I support it. Different hikes for different mics, am I right?
While in a
Right.
cave, the ceiling suddenly collapsed, trapping everyone inside. After searching high and low for another exit, Ray found a small opening and had an idea. He could try to shrink himself down and get help. even if it meant he might explode before he
Not
got
sure
the
that's
chance.
a really good idea,
But he
but this
didn't
is comics.
explode. I hope this story has a happy ending at least.
Perplexed, Ray determined there must have been something special about him that made him uniquely immune to
the
the
main
explosive
character.
fate. Something super scientifically convenient that we
Bro,
never
what is
get
that
any more
smile?
information on.
So he got to work and created himself a suit to harness the power of the white dwarf star and became
That man looks like a
the
predator when he
Atom.
smiled.
Adam uses the white dwarf fragment to decrease his size while having control over his density, which makes a lot of sense considering that white dwarfs have the mass of a star, like the sun, but their volume is more like the Earth's, making them among the densest objects in space.
Just a teaspoon of the stuff could weigh up to 100 tons. That's one strong spoon.
When
Yeah.
Adam shrinks and shifts his weight, he's actually sending his extra mass to a dimension called the mass zone.
Where, Adam could maybe live forever. At one point, Ray's
Okay.
apprentice, Ryan Choi, was murdered by Deathstroke, but willed some of his mass to the mass zone and was able to survive in that dimension. So
What?
these guys can potentially cheat death, but would be stuck there without any outside help.
But from one scientist to another, what's most impressive is Ray's creation of the Bio Belt. That's what allows Adam to use the power of the white dwarf and shrink while maintaining any weight
Shrinking
from immaterial
blank-
to his full 180
I can never
pounds.
read these things enough.
There's
bro.
even been times where it's stated that he was able to become almost as dense as a white dwarf star itself for a few seconds.
The belt
so
is
he's
also
extra
how he can
adorable.
travel through phone lines or through the air, on currents or light beams. Over time, Ray has spread out the white dwarf power to other parts of his suit, and now the bio belt acts as a utility belt for his shrunken weapons and tech. It also prevents his size or mass from being altered by any outside forces.
And while he
Okay.
can only increase his size back to his natural 6 feet in height, his ability to shrink is near limitless. He can travel between subatomic space to the microverse, the foundation of all reality in the DC universe, where atoms become the size of planets.
Typically, he can increase back to his normal size with such force he can smash through diamonds. So if Adam increases his size too much while
That is-
still within
that-
the microverse,
Okay,
he
that is
can
extra
blow up
crazy.
the entire fabric of reality from the inside out.
Shrinking
Sorry,
down
what?
to that size
Hang on,
means
I
that he
didn't
can
hear
shrink
that part.
small enough
Let
to
me just
rear.
repeat it.
He could blow up the entire much while. So if Adam increases his size,
Planets.
typically he can increase back to his normal size with such force he can smash through
Right,
diamonds.
so he's extra
if Adam
adorable.
increases his size too much while still within the microverse, he could blow up the entire fabric of reality from the inside out.
Shrinking
Damn.
down to that size means that he can shrink small enough to rearrange atoms themselves.
Yep, Ray can take individual molecules and rapidly expand them to cook up a small nuclear blast in the palm of his hand.
Bro threw
Oh,
Kamehameha.
Ray Palmer. I just got that.
He also once disarmed a bomb by rearranging its atoms. At that size, he can move at the velocity of
went
light. So
inside.
fast and so randomly, he basically acted as a barrier between any and all possible atom combinations. But come on, there's no scientific explanation here for him to have superhuman senses or awareness to comprehend being everywhere at the same time.
Ah, it makes total sense. If you're small enough, you can fit in almost everything, everywhere, all at once. Like how you can fit an entire pizza into a calzone, and then you have a whole pizza everywhere inside the
Inside a
calzone.
calzone.
Man, I get it. Science is pizza.
No! Science
What
is
is
all I
going
have!
on?
Why are you doing this to me?
On top of all of Ray's amazing inventions and abilities, he's also got some more classic weapons like a laser blaster and a frickin' sword he used to fight a giant crocodile. Relative to his size.
That was when Ray was believed to be
Okay.
dead, but was actually just stuck at 6 inches tall and stranded in the Amazon rainforest, where he and alien race known as the Catarthans.
And get this, he ended up leading a rebellion against their tyrant king and
Catarthans.
became the ruler of all the Kardashians.
And
Sure,
his
that might as
heroism
well
didn't
happen, I
stop
guess.
there. The Atom was a very well-respected hero, and was even asked to join the Justice League of America shortly after it was formed.
He
Oh.
fought alongside
pretty cool.
Batman and his best bud, Hawkman. And you don't fight with
I
those
swear,
guys
it's-
without picking up a thing or two.
Hawkman is such
Impressive
a
combat
toxic
skills
guy, I
aside,
swear.
Adam's greatest contribution to the legendary team was always his incredible mind.
He once created kryptonite inside of Superman by realizing that if he gathered up enough Kryptonian protons, they would eventually become radioactive.
While stranded in limbo, Adam realized that if the Flash sped up the rate of a nuclear reaction's stellar evolution to exhaust its core, they could turn a fire demon into a black hole and use it as a wormhole to get back to Earth.
He's a brilliant,
What?
hardworking, and determined scientist
Okay,
that
that
never
is straight
stops
up
working
crazy.
on a problem until he's found a solution.
He literally went
if I
inside
had figured out how to
Superman
blow
and made
stuff up as well as he
kryptonite
did,
out of his,
I would
like,
have stopped right there.
out of his
I'm
DNA.
the hero that blows stuff up. Wouldn't even need to change my name.
Ray Palmer lived the dream, going from research scientist to legendary superhero. He picked up the pieces presented to him and built something greater than the sum of its parts.
Who knew this tiny titan with massive brains would have just as much brawn to back it up?
Who would have thought?
All right, the combatants are set. We've
All right,
run the
let's do
data
this.
through all possibility.
It's time for a death battle!
You should pick on someone your own size,
Get it?
relatively speaking.
Because they can strength.
How did you do this? It's
I-
laced with a
I hate
particle
myself
I've
this far.
never seen before.
They're called Pym particles. And I'm Hank Pym, scientist supreme.
Does he wear a superhero
You should
suit
have
while
known.
working? You gotta stink, bro. Woo! He gave him that Delaware smash.
You're using pieces of a white dwarf star? That's cute.
Everything we needed already existed. You just needed to be smart enough to put the pieces together. Scientist Supreme?
That's it. That's it.
Did you know that at any given moment, there are about 2.5 million ants under your feet?
I mean, that makes sense, but why are you bringing that up right now?
Because he can control them. Is this what they're gonna do? A fight while, like, telling them science facts? Is this Phil Knight the science guy? Damn, bro, he is slashing those ants.
Took you long enough.
I mean, yeah, you literally could have done that earlier.
Okay, let's try this.
Oh, that doesn't work on him?
I'll hack his belt. You lay low and let me know what you find. Huh?
Nice try.
This is definitely a unique battle.
If I search every electron path in his gun and study their probability wave functions, I just might be able to!
Okay. The microverse. Okay. Oh, they're having a Titan battle. Yeah, see how he did that little thing over there.
What's happening? He must be reaching his limit. If we don't get out of here quick, he's gonna destroy all of reality. Now, my pets! You have your tricks and your tools, but I created something beyond the limits of human existence. I operate on a scale you can't even comprehend.
Did he? Oh, he took him to the overspace.
How?
You can't be afraid to think big.
Oh. See? Yo! You didn't have to do him like that, man. Damn!
KO!
Ant-Man and Atom both had many answers to each other's abilities and arsenals. Both
Jesus
were able to store
Christ.
various weapons at a shrunken state, both were trained in judo, and they both could obviously keep up with each other's ability to shrink at will.
Though there was one small thing Adam couldn't answer to. The ants! Hank's bond with his pets lent him some small advantages, and Ray just didn't have enough anti-ant tools in his bio belt.
But in Adam's defense, the fact that he could punch with a fist packed with all of his mass meant that a close-up fight while small would leave Hank with few options since he can only punch with his normal human strength.
So he's
Even
a lot
still,
more
all
battle
Ant-Man would need
experience.
to do is keep his dissed ants with the help of his insect confidence and devise another plan of ant-tack. Something
just
Hank
had-
has no shortage of.
For
I hate these
instance,
hate-
Ant-Man
I
could
hate
alter
these bug
Adam's
puns, I
size
swear.
thanks to the Pym particle field
Even
he
though I
generates.
made some bad puns
Hank
in
would
my
just need to
face.
stall long enough to remove or disable Adam's bio belt, and he's had no trouble hacking enemy tech in the past.
But even
Right.
with the bio belt busted, it wouldn't stop Adam's ability to shrink since the white dwarf power is contained throughout his suit. Destroying the belt only meant that Ant-Man could alter Adam's size.
Whereas Hank has literally rewritten his own
Okay, so
biology
the
to prevent
belt is,
outside size
helping
alteration.
Adam
And while
prevent-
Adam's abilities are
be
definitely
prevented
impressive, they are limited.
turn the
and
enemy
Ant-Man
size
simply
on what
aren't,
Ant-Man
at
wants
least
it.
by comparison. Hank could
should've
always
phrased that
match Ray's
better,
size or just take the fight to the
basically,
overspace where he
the
would
belt
have the edge, both
prevents
physically and
Ant-Man from
mentally.
turning
The
him
overspace
small
can
and
mess
big.
with the human mind, but we've seen that Hank can handle it.
But if the Scientist Supreme is really so smart, why didn't he just immediately go up Adam's butt and blow him up from the inside?
Ugh, what's wrong with you, Wiz?
Oh my
Aren't you
God,
a
they
fellow
did-
man of science?
This is the meanest thing you've ever done to me.
Adam sized up Ant-Man,
Are those
but in the
pizzas
end,
in his
he
lab
was the
coat?
one who had
Ew,
to say,
gross. Look at all that
Uncle.
grease.
The winner is Ant-Man.
That was a pretty
Thanks for
entertaining
watching.
fight, to
Stay
say the
tuned. We have a
least.
new Death Battle releasing every 2 weeks this year. And click the join button. Members even see Death Battles before anyone else, so don't miss out.
Okay, next time. Let's see what the next fighters are. I have no idea who these guys are. Apologies if I don't know them. That was it for today's video, and I hope you guys enjoy. I guess I learned my lesson not to underestimate these guys, and I apologize to those who are a fan of these characters. Before I don't know those characters, I don't play Skyrim or the other game that was there, so apologies if you don't see me reacting to that video. Make sure to follow me at both my Instagram as well as my TikTok, and the link to those accounts are in the description down below. With this being said, I'll see you next time.